Hey, what's up, everybody? Again, welcome to First Friday Finance. Again, I'm your host, Marvin Scott. I got some good things I really think today for you. We're going to go through a budget. So we just walk through. So I'm going to really need you if you have any questions to ask questions. Throw those things out there so we can try to answer those questions and try to really just help you get to this place of financial freedom because a budget is so important. If you want to get out of debt, you need to create a budget. Most people got to understand like everyone needs a budget, and those who don't have millions of dollars need a budget more than anybody else because you really need to be able to account for where your money is going. So every budget begins with creating a budget begins with what? Um, again, we talked about this before, so this is a review question. Remember, it all begins with your income. So you need to know what you're bringing in, and then the budget also helps you to identify this is where it's going out. And once we see where it's going out to and where it should be going, a budget helps us to put things in its appropriate place, make sure we're spending the appropriate amount. If we're spending too much in one area, we can see that, and then we start trying to figure out how can we cut down and just kind of streamline it so that we can save money or put money where in some other places where it needs to be. So I just think this is going to be real good because I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to put up a budget, and we're going to start going through a budget, and we'll do those different things. So if you have any questions at any time, please shoot the question, and we'll try to answer that question as best as possible. One of the things I want you to understand too is, last month we were talking about, the essential areas of a budget. And one of the things we were doing, we were saying, 30 to 35% here, 10 to 15% there. And we had all these different areas. One of the things I did was I created a budget and I made it a little different only because I want you to understand that the budget that those percentages are just outlines. You have to create a budget, and then you have to keep tweaking and tweaking the budget until it fits you. So everything doesn't have to be exactly the same. I promise you, if you go online and look up a budget, they're going to give you, you'll find hundreds of variations of a budget and what should be where. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to give you a budget. And this is one of the budgets that I use for me when I first started, a budget I use for me, and it's a budget I use to help others as well. We kind of tweak it and play with that a little bit. So I'm excited about that. So let's just go ahead and get into the budget. And again, remember, the budget is really nothing if you don't know how much money you're actually bringing in. So it's going to be important to look at your income. And once you look at your income, it'll be able to you go from there. All right. So again, this is a budget here. The first thing we need to do is find out what's the first thing we need to do. What's the first thing we need to put in? And I know that's right. I know you said it. Remember, everything starts with income, right? So we need to have our income. We need to figure out what our income is. And then once we do that, we can go here. So what I did, I just kind of put something over here as an annual income, and then we could see what our monthly income would be. Again, and this is important. So I'm going to put an income of $50,000 here. Just to say that $50,000. And again, this monthly income is not going to be exact because you're not going to be taxed on this 22% on all of that money. So your taxes won't be actually that much. But I want to put this amount here also. There's $50,000 here because a lot of times, think about this: when you apply for a loan to get a house, let's say you want to buy a house. Normally, they're going to give you a loan for 2 to 3 times this amount. This is your gross income. And they're going to give you a loan 2 to 3 times your gross income. But guess what? If you get a house 2 to 3 times your gross income, guess what? Your take home, your bring home pay after taxes is only about $33,000. It's going to be a little bit more, but again, it's only around 30 some $1,000. So you're already in a house that's way above what you can afford. So what's going to be important now is interest rate, because if you don't interest rate, then you're going to be paying a whole lot of money for a house that's already based on an amount that's more than what you bring home. So you're already behind the gun. So now that's why understanding money management, wealth management, because now it's important to build your credit so that when they do loan your house 2 to 3 times your your annual income, you can get a good interest rate, and now you can be in a house that you can afford because your interest rate is good because of your credit score, right? So that's important to understand. So that's why you want to make sure that you have this under control, because that's your gross income. That's not what you bring home. So you have to know exactly what you bring home. So when you start thinking in terms of income, don't think in terms of this is what they say I make an hour or this is what my salary is. Think in terms of when I get a paycheck in my hand, this is how much I get, and that's how much I get to work with, right? So if we just say that this is our monthly income, 27, that's our monthly income, right? And so now that's what we have to work with every month, right? And when we look at it, we say, man, you know what? That's not a lot of money, but it's what we got. So once we put those numbers in and it populates, we start seeing the areas of our budget. I'm going to go through this real quick. We got an area for food, housing, clothing, savings, transportation, health. And this is my miscellaneous or all others, and then charitable donations. And again, your budget doesn't have to look quite like this, and you can change it around, and you can change the percentages around to fit you and what you want. But again, this is just to give you a rough idea of what you'll be dealing with. Okay, so once you figure out what your income is, now you've already remember and before we've already gone through and put down all of the areas where our money goes. Remember, we had to track our spending so we can look at where our money's going and write down everywhere where we're spending our money. And so what we want to do is everywhere where we're spending our money, we want to find a category to put that in, right? And then so like for here, you got groceries, but when you go to a store, let's say you go to Publix or Winn-Dixie or Bi-Lo or whatever they call, right? So you go to a grocery store, you're going to get more than groceries out of that store. You might get cleaning supplies. You may get, toilet tissue and paper towels and, all those different things, right? And so instead of trying to create a different category, for me, I just felt like, when I go to the grocery store, we're going to get groceries and then, and then anything else that I might get that I don't get on a regular basis, I'm going to put that in that area as well. So that's kind of, my thought process for that. And so we said that area is 10%. Of food is food, and that includes groceries and miscellaneous. That's 10%. So under that, you see where I put groceries got the biggest percentage of that. That got 75% of that budget, and then the miscellaneous got 25% of that budget, and that's how we do it. Now, for me, this is what the estimated is. Over here is what you will put the actual, right? So when I put the actual over here, so let's say I went to the grocery store and this month, when I added up all my receipts, let's say I spent $250. I spent $250 there. I'm under budget by $26.73. But what if I went and I bought cleaning supplies and I spent $50 on cleaning supplies? So now I'm actually $23 over budget in that area. Now, that's no cause to panic, but what that means is I got to find another area in this budget where I'm going to be under budget, so that when I look at my final, I'm not over budget, because over budget meant I spent too much money. And if you spent too much money, you know what that means? That means you were using a credit card that has a higher balance than what you make. And that's the only way you were able to get away with a negative amount, is because you were able to overspend because you were putting stuff on a credit card. You see what I'm saying? Because if you were not putting things on a credit card, then guess what? Once you hit the final amount, boom, it taps you out. You don't have any more money. So now you got to wait till your next paycheck. So if you're able to spend more, then that means you're using things that allows you to go over your budget, right? But again, so having something like this happen, it's okay as long as you're able to make up for that amount somewhere else. And if I'm going too fast, please let me know. Please let me know. Just dealing with numbers and figures like that, money, I talk a little fast. But anyway, so again, so if food and this is going to be 10% of your budget, and for you, this might, say for example, you got a family of 6, right? A family of 6, 10% of your budget may not be enough, You may have to make that a bigger percentage. And then if you make that a bigger percentage, you got to now figure out where in here can I bring that percentage down so that now I'm still within this amount, that this amount is still not being, I'm still not going over that amount. Because the other thing we can do then is create a business and then bring in some additional income. And if we bring in additional income, that is increase our budget as well. But again, I can remember, and this, I can remember working, 4 jobs at one point in time. I remember I used to work at American Home Patient, Winn-Dixie Pharmacy, Kmart Pharmacy, and Health South Rehabilitation Hospital, all at the same time. And I was going to school full time to get my doctor of pharmacy. And you would think because I'm working all these hours, I would have a lot of money. I had no money left. I had no money left, but I didn't know how to budget. I didn't know how to manage money. I wasn't looking at, where was my money going? I just wasn't looking at it. You know what I mean? So I didn't know. So one of the things I did was I created a bad habit of eating out. I created a bad habit of eating out. And so I just created this little thing right here just to look at this. So, and this is very low. This is very low, but I just did it just say, if you're eating out, and let's say you're eating out, spending an average of $26 a day, you see how much that is a year? That is ridiculous, right? But just imagine if you be honest and you're spending more, you know what I'm saying, than that, you're spending more than that. And so those numbers start going up astronomically. You know what I'm saying? So now you're looking at $245 weekly, and then if you take that and put that into a year, apparently that's not multiplying for me. But if we were to look at that, that would be significant. Let me just do this real quick here. This will be equal this. Yeah. So again, that would go up. That's $12,000 a year just on eating out. And I promise you, I was probably doing about that on a regular basis. And so I was eating out so much that was one thing that was eating up my finances. And I didn't notice it because I never knew exactly how much I was bringing in, and I wasn't paying attention to where it was going out. I was just spending the money. Someone asked the question, what if you don't buy groceries? Well, if you don't buy groceries, then you can make that part zero, and you can take that percentage and put it somewhere else. So that's 10% that gets to go towards your mortgage and your rent or housing. That's 10% that gets to go to a different area that you would want to put that 10% on. So if you don't eat out or you don't buy groceries, then that's another area. But again, you have to understand that this right here has to go in a part of your budget as well. And this is, you can put that under food if that's going to be your primary thing. But a lot of times this is going under personal spending. This is going under personal spending. And so because it's going under personal spending, we're probably spending too much when we eat out and those different things. And so you have to now have that in your budget. But again, this would be one of those non-essential areas. In other words, it's not necessary. You don't have to have it, but I'm going to put it there because I know this is something that I want to do. And I think, one of the things that, we talked about when we first started doing this particular broadcast, I talked about the fact that one of the things I like to do is on Sundays is go out to eat with my family. Don't do it in the same now because of COVID, but to be able to go out to eat on Sunday, that's just something that we did. Every Sunday, that's what we were going to do. Is as a family, we were going to go out, sit down, and eat. Some families sit down, they cook Sunday dinner. I think we ain't cooking it, what but we're going to go out and we'll have Sunday dinner together. And I really love that, and I miss that. So in my budget, I put in my budget money for eating out. Just for that, I have money in my budget for that. And so that's the thing. You can rearrange income in your budget any way you want to rearrange it to fit where you are. All right. So let's get back over here. So again, 10% goes to your groceries, but if you don't buy groceries, then that can go somewhere else. Now, but let me ask this question and just think about this, right? In what situation would you be where you don't have to buy groceries? One, that means because you got to eat, right? So if you're not buying groceries, that means one, you're staying with someone else, and maybe that's their role. Their role is they buy groceries and you pay for something else. Or you're at home with your parents, and they're buying the groceries. So those things are great. But one of the things I would also do, make sure you still keep up with your income. It says if you're single and only eat out, I think we just showed you an example of how detrimental to your finances that could be. Eating out on a regular basis. But yeah. So if you don't eat out, if you don't buy groceries, again, you can put dining out in this area, or you can put it in your personal leisure area. But if dining out is your primary thing, then I would say put it up here because it needs to be it's an essential part of what you do. So put it up here and give it an appropriate percentage. Just remember that, at the end of the day, you have to set a percentage of your income that's going to go to that. And then you have to do your best to stay within that percentage, because if you don't, it's going to throw everything off. It's going to throw everything off. So just make sure you do that. Okay. The next thing is housing. Now, housing, this area here is the biggest part of your budget. Now, last month when we were talking about this, we said housing is 30 to 35%. I put 40% here because I also put utilities here. I put the telephone here. You got maintenance and repairs. Now, this area here, you may need to increase that from 40% to 45%. You may need to increase that a bit more, because think about this. What's going to affect this amount right here? What's going to affect that rent or the mortgage, right? What's going to affect that is where you live, right? What's not just what city, what state. Some state housing is so expensive. In New York, oh my goodness, you could get a lot of mortgage or a lot of rent, but little space, right? And what we would pay for space here, they pay a whole lot more for a whole lot less. But then you think about it here, where I am in Tallahassee, you think about it compared to Atlanta. In Atlanta, you get a lot more house for your money than you do in Tallahassee. So, now what's, where you live. But not only that, how safe do you feel? Where do you want to live? Now, again, if you can get an apartment or a home in a nice area, you feel secure and so forth and so on, and you can get that and it's a reasonable price, but you want to go stay out there with Ric Flair, you know what I mean? And because you're having a hard time keeping them alligators on the ground, then that's two different things because you want to live, outside of your means. You try to keep up with the Joneses or whatever, right? You trying to look rich and die trying, right? But again, sometimes it's not like you are trying to live outside of your means. It's just in order to get a place where you feel good and feel safe or whatever, you got to pay more money. So you may have to put more money towards your rent or your mortgage. So this housing area, you may need to increase that percentage. But again, housing is normally 30 to 35% of your budget if you're just looking at your rent, your mortgage, those types of things. But I made it 40% because I added in utilities, the telephone, so forth and so on, right? And so again, so now if you go in and your budget says your rent or your mortgage shouldn't be any more than $830, but your rent itself, your mortgage is say $1,200. You see what I'm saying? You're already over budget in this area, okay? Because you still got to pay utilities, right? And so let's say utilities is coming up $100 a month. Okay, now you got a telephone, and so now the question is, you got to, what type of telephone do you have? Because if you don't have the updated phone, now you feel bad because people gonna talk about your X, Y, Z. See, that's when you got to say, get your hand out my pocket. That's when you got to realize, what, I can't live to please you. I got to live to please myself and stay within my means. So if you have a phone that works and it's a good phone, maybe this is an area where you can cut back and say, you know what, I'm not going to get the newest phone that come out so I can keep paying extra on my phone bill, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my old phone and pay the minimum amount. So this might be an area where you can kick back. Because what most people do is they don't put any money aside for maintenance and repairs. And lo and behold, life is going to happen, right? And you're going to have to do some maintenance and repairs. I can remember maybe a few years back, my wife and I, we are doing things. We take the kids on vacations and things like that. And we're getting ready to take them to Texas to go to oh Lord, Six Flags in Dallas, Texas, I think it was. And make a long story short, the kids come over that day. I think it was a Sunday. They came over. The boys were here, and so some of the other young people from the church came over. And so the next day we're going to get up. Oh, that was Saturday, because Sunday morning we were going to get up, get on the road, and ride out. Anyway, kids come over. The AC goes out. It's hot, right? So we had to wind up coming, getting ready to pay money for this trip. But when we come back, we got to now pay to get the AC fixed, right? And so we paid, and the AC kept working, and we'll get it fixed. And all of a sudden, the AC said, "Man, forget you. I'm tired. I worked long enough. I need to retire." And so the AC quit on us, and now there was nothing we could do to talk it into starting back at work. No, we had to get a new AC. So, but most times we don't put money in our budget for things like that. And now that AC unit was a major cost. So I'm saying all that to say, although maintenance to the maintenance and repairs may not seem important, but we definitely want to make sure that we do that because we want to make sure we have this in here. Because if we don't, those things build up. And again, you don't have to put $1,000 a month if you don't have it. But you do want to put something so that every month you're putting something aside for that budget, for that, because life will happen. The AC goes out, our stove has gone out, we had to get a new roof, so those things happen, and you want to have some money to side to do it. Now, granted, the roof, you don't have to pay for all of yourself. Hopefully your insurance is going to pay for that. But even with that, you have a deductible. So you got to figure out what the deductible is, right? So you want to make sure you do that as well. But again, so we can be over budget here, but if we're over budget here, we have to find another area. So if I'm over budget $193 over here, then my clothing budget has to go out the window, right? So the question says, do you suggest the monthly home warranty? Well, this is what I suggest. Now, again, you can do a monthly home warranty and pay somebody. So give them money every month, every month, every month, every month, every month, every month. Whether something breaks down or not, you're giving them money every month, every month, every month, every month, every month. So that when something does break down, they can take the money that you gave them and pay for it. Or instead of you giving them money, you can put that money aside yourself. Right? You can put that money aside yourself, so it's almost like, for example, do you get an extended car warranty? Because things on a car is going to break down, right? So I understand if you get if you buy a used car and you purchase a used car and you may get an extended warranty on a used car because you really don't know and you just put out a large amount on that car, so you don't want to turn around and have to now pay for something that you didn't foresee happening immediately, right? So, but after that warranty is gone out, do you pay for that pay for an extended warranty after that, or would it be better for you to just put that money aside? For me, what works best for me is I put that money aside. I don't pay. I don't believe in giving somebody my money to do what I can do. You know what I'm saying? So I put my money aside, I save my money, and then I'll pay for that myself. So I don't have a home warranty here. So when my refrigerator went out, I paid for the refrigerator, but that's because we put money aside so that when the refrigerator went out, we had money to go and pay for the refrigerator. Okay. So again, but now if you don't have the money or the means, and it takes a lot longer for you to build up enough money to pay for something like that, then having a home warranty or an extended warranty may be good, because it's, especially if the amount of that you have to pay monthly is very small. So if the amount that you have to pay monthly is very small, then yes, that would be great to pay a small amount to have the security so that if something breaks, you can use that home warranty to get it fixed. But again, that's if the monthly amount is insecure. If I can get out if it's very small and it doesn't really affect your overall budget. If that's the case, then that'll be great. Do it, and that'll give you the security of being able to know that if something does break, I have a home warranty that should fix that, and it's not as costing me as much as it would cost me if I had to put that money aside. So that would be the thing. There was another question that popped up as far as, is a telephone considered essential? I would say this, and just think about it from this standpoint. If you have kids, or let's say you have parents that are aging, how important is a phone to you? That phone is highly important. So yes, I would say phone is essential. The thing is, do I need the most elaborate phone? Do I need a phone that got 10 cameras? You know what I'm saying? So I don't need to get the most expensive phone, but a phone is essential. And I tell you, as a parent, any parent says it's essential for them to have a phone so that their kids can contact them, or someone can contact them about their kids, right? But again, as we go down this list here, one of the things we'll see is this clothing budget, right? So I put this clothing budget in here But this may not be an area for you. So you may not spend any money in here. You may not use cleaning and get alterations. So this area here, you can put a zero here and you'll be over budget 110. And that $110 that you didn't spend here helps to go in this area to make up for what you're overspending over here. All right. So now, and I know I've reached that 30-minute mark, and oh my goodness, time has gone so fast. But again, so savings now, and before we go, I want to make sure we say this, please, 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 please. If you're not listen, if you're going to put money in a home warranty, put money in a savings account. Put money in. If you got to save, if you're going to pay somebody else, you also got to do what make sure you pay yourself. As a matter of fact, you should pay yourself first. Now, again, your savings should be more than 5%, but it should be at least 5%. You should be saving at least 5%, right? But it should be more, but you should save at least 5%. You see transportation here. So now guess what? You cannot drive a Mercedes and pay $200 a month. I mean, yeah, you could, but you got to remember, it got to be used, right? And then you got to understand, okay, how much is the maintenance? How much is it going to cost me to repair that car? So technically, you can drive any style car, any make and model car you want, but you got to remember, if I'm going to drive that car, then, it has to fit within my budget, and I have to be willing to make some concessions somewhere. So with that being said, I may have to get a car that's a little older. You know what I mean? Because now it should be a little less, so forth and so on, right? And again, but we'll try to pick up and finish up in this area, and we'll talk about these things next month on First Friday Finance. Hopefully, this has been helping you. What I would like for you to do is go back, look at your budget, and kind of go through and start putting things in, putting the proper percentages in, and keep up with your budget. Do what the budget should be, and then outline what you're actually doing. Outline what you're actually doing, and then see, are you over budget or under budget? And then we can start looking at ways in which we can start fixing it so that we can get everything back to where it's supposed to be. Does that make sense? All right. So again, thank you so much. I hope this has been a help to you. We'll pick this up next month with First Friday Finance. Again, I'm your host, Marvin Scott. Hey, have a great one. Merry Christmas. Love you all. Thank you.